Robinson, removing residency requirements for advisory committee members.
Yes, thank you. You may have noticed that for several months when Mr. Doctor would give the corp report, he would kind of give me the side eye because I had vacancies. And I find it very difficult to find people who, one, are construction professionals, who don't want to do business with the school district, who live in Palm Beach County, who are willing to give up essentially all of a Friday morning once a month to participate. And so I've managed to find a couple of people who meet 3 of the 4 criteria. And so in order for us to make sure that Cork is fully staffed, if you will, with volunteers, I wanted to ask if the board would consider making the residency requirement a suggestion as opposed to a mandate.
Mrs. Whitfield.
I saw this on here, and I just wanted to get some clarifications. Can you explain the residency requirement? Can somebody talk about, is it Palm Beach County, or is it very specific? It's just within the county, anywhere in the county. Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Brill.
Thank you. I'm not sure that I feel comfortable going outside Palm Beach County for any of our committees. I think that we've got to find a way. I'd rather have an empty seat because, you know, Palm Beach County is unique, and I think we need people that are vested in our county. I mean, just like we have to live in our districts.
Dr. Robinson.
And so as it happens, a couple of the individuals that I have in mind actually work in Palm Beach County. I mean, I think that we are, in a way, cutting off our nose to spite our face if we only want thought from Palm Beach County. So, I remain firm that I think that this is not only necessary to expand the talent pool, but I also think it's a good idea. Not that it would be, I think it should still be preferable, but not required.
Mrs. Andrews.
And I think when we're trying to fill these vacancies, we need to get to the chair or the superintendent, because sometimes we know people that you don't know, and we are a large county. And so I think when we are looking for expertise in a county like Palm Beach, we can find it, but we have to get to know people from different areas that can come in and help us out. So I think more collaboration needs to be done when we're looking for someone and we can't find it, that we kind of talk to our superintendent, our staff, as well as get the message out that we're looking for someone, because we all have different groups that we represent. And I may know some people that you may not know that are excellent, that can actually sit into some of these spots.
Mrs. Rico.
Thank you. Just as a point of information, and I'll be happy to circulate this to the board for consideration on this issue, but we already have at least one advisory board committee that does have a qualifier on residency, and I believe that it talks about having a business office or some other connection to the Palm Beach County community, but does release that strict residency requirement. And I'll be happy to circulate those to you.
Dr. Robinson.
And so that would serve my purpose, but I just want to be clear. When I appoint people to these advisory committees, I want to make sure that they're not just somebody who can check off the boxes. I want to make sure that they have a mindset that I feel is needs to be voiced inside of those committees. So just because you might know somebody who would check off those boxes doesn't mean that I'm going to find them appropriate, and I would assume vice versa is true. So I would like, if you would, for our general counsel to share that, and maybe the board would be willing to spread that flexibility to the other advisory committees.
All right. Next item is also yours, Dr. Robinson, Equity Workshop.
Yep. So, we've talked a lot about equity. I've been talking about equity for 2 decades, and so I'm really thrilled that the school district now has conversations about equity and access and other such things. I'm a bit concerned that they're turning into cliches and code words. And so I want us to roll up our sleeves and get about the business of working towards equity. And so it's my request that we consider scheduling a workshop on equity. I know that there is work being done. I think that we all need to be made aware of all the work that's being done. And so we can talk about where we see the gaps and all the various ways that we need to address equity. And I would hope that part of that workshop would include best practices from other school districts. There's actually a book called Walking the Equity Walk that I find to be outstanding. And I would hope that we would eventually create an equity plan, because either we need to work towards equity or we need to stop saying the word. Thank you.
Mrs. Andrews?
Yes, I agree that we should have that workshop. I just returned from an equity workshop at the national level, and I'm going to be meeting with Mr. Oswald, and I'm going to share the information that I received from my participation and from my involvement with national leaders as it relates to equity indicators in education, as well as evidence and impact. So I think we're right on the right track, and I was happy to represent you, and I'm going to bring that information forward. But yes, a workshop is good. I think it's needed.
So I see everybody's head shaking except Mrs. McQuinn's head shaking also. So we have a consensus. So, Mr. Superintendent, can you try and schedule that for us?
Yeah, I'll get with staff and we'll see what we can get on the calendar.
All right, Mrs. Andrews, ESSA workshop?
Yes, and we need to have this workshop sooner than later with every Student Success Act. I mean, with the Florida plan, we need to kind of go through that plan, see where it's meeting our needs, the kinds of things we need to have input on. It's just necessary. We had a lot of discussion about that at the workshop that I just attended and participated in, and I thought about it. We have not had that workshop here to let us know where we are in Palm Beach County as it relates to the state of Florida and ESSA. Thank you.
Consensus? Yes. Another one.
Yes, sir, we'll be glad to do that.
So we're at the end of the agenda. Unless anybody has anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Brill, second by Mrs. Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. So the next item will be the special meeting.